Hey, welcome back to my channel. And what I want to discuss with you now is when assessing a development, but I'm talking about small scale. I'm talking about building flats at the back of a property that you want to buy. Because often I come across property investors who may have bought a residential property with space to build, say, 4 flats at the back or 6 flats at the back. And what they end up doing and how they get it wrong is they do go buy the property, they run their own numbers, but don't quite know how to run the numbers. But the agent told them how they were going to run the numbers. So stay tuned till the end because this is a very, very important video. Why? A lot of investors want to build, they want to develop something on a piece of property that they buy that could be converting the current property. A lot of cases, in fact, I came across a case recently. Unfortunately, the investor had already bought it and it just didn't quite work out for them. But there's reasons why it didn't work out for them. So I want to just share the experience with you and share with you what they could have done. So for all investors, stay tuned to the end of this video. So what tends to happen is you'll come across a property and could be a 3-bedroom house, a 4-bedroom house, and you see the opportunity to convert this to student accommodation or a multi-let, and you got the vision of the house, but in the back or on the side, there's plenty space where we can build. Perhaps it's very basic, 4 one-bed flats or 8 one-bed flats, double story, whatever it might be. The question is, who are the 4 key power team members, the four call them your professionals who you need to have in your team? The first one is going to be your project manager. Your second one is your town planner. Your third one is your architect. Your fourth one is your QS. And let's add one to that. Your property coach is going to guide you along the process. You see, if you don't engage all of those professionals, this is what's going to happen, or this is what could happen. So it may be that you buy the property and then you go to a town planner to realize that the town planner says to you, I love your vision, and Mr. Architect, 100%. There's enough space to build 10, 20, 30 units. But unfortunately, the zoning bylaws do not allow for any building of the residential nature to take place in this area on this property. Or did you realize that after looking at your title deed, you may own the land, but you don't have rights to the back because the municipality has a servitude going across the back garden. Therefore, you cannot build anything. So I love to call my town planner first and first find out, can I get the property rezoned? Can I make it legal? Will I be allowed to make it legal? Can I rezone it? I also want to check the title deed. Just make sure there's no funny things like servitudes going across the property. Am I allowed to build and develop? Are there any restrictions that will stop me from developing on that piece of property? It's very important. Just by checking those 2 things, and the answer is yes, Andrew, I would, based on the neighbors and the area and the bylaws of that municipality, I would be allowed to rezone the property. Fantastic. Tick box number 1. Mr. Seller, Mr. Agent, I just need to see a copy of the title deed. You see, my vision with the property is to change the use, is to develop the piece of property. I just need to make sure that there's no servitudes or there's no issues with the property. Now, just remember at this stage, it doesn't just happen in 5 minutes. So when we put an offer to purchase in, we want to have a clause in there that buys us enough time to do our due diligence. But now, once I know I can do it, I'm confident. Mr. Architect, I've spoken to Saskia Cole from KRPD, my town planner. I've spoken to my property coach, and it's looking like, in principle, that this deal is going to work. How many units can I build? Look, Andrew, based on the coverage of the back garden, the boundary walls, after taking all that into consideration, I reckon we can build 4 one-bed flats at the bottom and 4 one-bed flats at the top, giving me 8 one-bed flats. That's fantastic. But the project manager is listening to you, right? Going, but hang on a minute, guys. Yes, we can get it zoned. Yes, Mr. Architect, we can fit 8, but my client's paying 2 million rand for the property. Is it going to make financial sense? Are we going to get the return? So the project manager jumps in going, thank you, Saskia. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for the architect. I want to bring a QS on board, and I want to start pricing up the cost of this development. The great thing about using companies like African Tree, a guy called Arshad and Mike, is they'll actually run a desktop valuation with us. Doesn't take long. They'll ask for some information, and we'll on Zoom, we'll jump on a call and we'll look at the property. They'll ask me what my vision is for the property, and we'll look at how many units are we going to build, and we start looking at, and depending on the quality of the build and the area will depend on the price per square meter, which is how long is a piece of string based on what I'm going to build. And once I've done that, that then starts to give me a good idea for, is this project going to make financial sense? And this is where the QS is going to come in, because we have to cost things up properly. I do get a bit worried that when you call a Bucky builder or a friend's brother's auntie's brother, and he's going to spec everything up for you, because now we're building and developing from scratch. Yes, if you get it right, you'll make a lot of money, but if you don't, you could lose a lot of money. And unfortunately, we do see lots of people going out there, they buy the property, then they Google to find out, oh, I was meant to call a town planner, an architect, a project manager, and a QS. Here's the beauty, guys. If you do come across a property that you want to develop on, and you don't have a power team, that's why we're here. That's why Sapin exists. Make sure you do reach out to us. But let's just summarize that video. For those of you that do want to build, develop, even a current property itself, we want to call the town planner. Do we need to rezone? Do we need consent? We want to make sure we check the title deed. Are there any restrictions? Mr. Architect, how many units can I build on this piece of property with the coverage? Mr. Not town planner, project manager, are you happy with how things are going? And of course, my property coach is watching from the top, a bird's eye view of what's going on. Because we're going to make sure, Mr. Coach, that the seller doesn't sell the property anywhere else, that we've locked the seller in. And remember, if we're going through an agent, their clauses will be in the favor of the seller, and we want to protect ourselves and make sure we buy ourselves enough time to do our due diligence. And that's the beauty. And yeah, I might need to spend a few thousand rand up front. I may need to get Marisha Robus from Gauteng Property Inspections to make sure that I'm not buying anything with asbestos, that there's no subsidence, and that there's no rising damp. And if there is, what's that going to cost? So there's a big conversation here, guys, an element of doing due diligence when it comes to property investing. But when you do all of that in the beginning and then you do buy the property, you are going to make money. It's when people don't do this level of due diligence and research because they can't be asked. And in fact, most times it's people with money that make these mistakes because they sat on cash, they've got the affordability, and they're, oh, I've got the money, and the agent told me it's a good deal, it was recommended, and I was told I could get rezoning and all this kind of stuff, to then realize it ain't going to work. So just be careful. Please take my advice on that. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's crucial that you get that right. And again, in the comment section, please ask any questions you want to ask. I'm here to help you guys. Please like this video, subscribe, share it with your friends, and stay tuned for more great content and information.